Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. On today's show, we're talking about adapting work habits when you travel. In my case, my normal work days are made up of three major groups of activities. The first are those things that require focus time. That includes drafting of investor reports, executive summaries, this podcast, and planning and organizing of projects. The second type of activities involve meetings with the team, where we review who's doing what and monitoring progress on project deliverables. We also have deep dive sessions where we get the brainpower of the whole team working together on the design of projects or reviewing the work of architects and engineers. And then finally, we've got meetings with stakeholders. That includes calls with our investors and our vendors. Now, in normal times, these days would also include a certain amount of time on construction sites. That's been dramatically reduced during the pandemic. Well, this month, I'm spending an entire month away from home and will be working from the beautiful ancient city of Rome. My family lives in the antique center of the city, where you can't put a shovel in the ground without opening a new archaeological project. Rome is a wonderful place to spend time. But if you're tightly connected with what's happening at the home office, it can be difficult to be present in my current location. Working on different time zones means I've got the mornings to myself, and I'm able to get those focus tasks done without interruption, while everyone else is still sleeping in North America. Meetings don't start usually before 3 p.m. for me, which is 9 a.m. East Coast time. Most difficult thing to manage is the time zone to the West Coast, where we have at most 1 hour of overlap during the business day. 6 p.m. in Europe is 9 a.m. in California and Washington. If I don't establish boundaries, then the temptation exists to work at all hours of the day and night. I've discovered that daily habits are the key to achieving goals, and when traveling, it can be difficult to keep up with those habits. Exceptions can throw your food habits out the window. Exercise habits become more difficult to maintain, and even work habits become more difficult. Staying organized outside the home environment can be challenging, and I find that most important time savers to ensure I have a solid internet connection. You can waste a ton of time with a slow internet connection. And when I travel, I either use my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot, or I will go out and purchase a local 5G hotspot. It makes uploading of new podcast episodes fast and keeps those Zoom meetings working efficiently. I also need to be aware of local norms. Dinner hours much later than in North America. Lunch is at 1 p.m. and supper is at 8. We use software tools to stay connected with the team. Email is the old way of doing things, and we still use email. But email has become so noisy with marketing that we need another platform to be capable of enabling communication within the project teams. So we use Slack as that internal messaging system. Managing the execution of projects requires documenting and tracking both project activities and action items. We use Asana for that purpose. Updates to action items are captured within the software, and team members can work across time zones in multiple cities. Right now, we have team members in 5 different time zones, and the investment in these systems was key in making virtual work efficient. Successful teams require excellent communication, but when people are not in the same office at the same time, communication becomes more difficult. Tools that give the core team members that shared context makes handoffs possible, but more important than all is an internal culture that feels more like a relay race. There's always someone in the organization with hands stretched out ready to catch the baton, and that characteristic is something that no software application can substitute for. The people have to have that as part of their makeup. Software can facilitate the process and make it more efficient, but they cannot replace that characteristic. Using a teamwork process requires an underlying inclination to embrace teamwork. The people you bring into the organization have to have that intrinsic quality. The specifics of the underlying tool don't matter as much without that natural inclination to pitch in and help. I've been part of organizations that lack that characteristic. And when you have team members who are ambitious, you've got to be clear on the root of their ambition. Are they ambitious for the organization, or are they ambitious for themselves? And I've been part of both of those types of organizations. And I can tell you that when we brought people in who have that Lone Ranger quality, it doesn't work. I can't honestly tell you how to create that culture. I know that we have it internally, and I'm committed to protecting that culture with my every being. When you have all of these ingredients in place, it's possible to have a world-class organization that happens to be physically distributed across time zones, and not only cope with that, but thrive within it. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.